But on the flip side, I'm able to tell a story. I'm able to have wordplay. I'm able to be lyrical, you know, in a way that I think poetry has trained me for. I was playing a bunch of instruments.
Where do I draw that line? How do you draw that line for yourself?
Dude.
How was that energy? Because y'all seem different.
First day, they brought in Roddy Ricch. They brought in Joey Badass.
What up, y'all? I'm Jayy Marie, and we are here with the beautiful, the talented, the one and only Linda So Que Linda.
Thank you. Hey, girl.
Hey, girl. First of all, how are you doing? Let's get a temperature check real quick. How you doing?
I'm good. I feel blessed. I'm grateful. I feel blessed. How about you?
You know what? I'm good. It's been a long day, but we here. I feel blessed too. I feel blessed to be in your presence. Okay.
Same.
Okay, so let's get into. I want to just talk a little bit about your story and just how you started doing music. Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Where did the passion come from?
For sure. So I actually grew up writing poetry. My sister was in an after-school matters program called Kumba Links, which taught young kids the foundations of hip-hop. So I was a kid writing poetry, but I was around beat boys and graffiti artists and dancers and singers, and I just grew up writing. So when I got to high school, I was involved in Louder Than a Bomb, the poetry slam.
Okay.
So I was at Young Chicago Authors. I was at open mics every week writing poetry, and I got really deep in that world. So in my summers, I would be in writing programs at Young Chicago Authors, and I would be around a lot of MCs. And after open mics, they would go and rap at Wendy's a lot, and it would be cyphered in there. And I just always wanted to spit at 16. So I think eventually my poetry just morphed into music. By the time I got to college, like I had a couple things that kind of launched me into music career. And I played instruments growing up too. So while I was writing poetry, I was playing a bunch of instruments, and so it all just kind of fused into music at one point.
How would you say the writing aspect of, because you mentioned being a part of the Young Authors program and just like even the poetry, how would you say that helped you with creating your writing style and creating your flow?
For sure, yeah. It's interesting. I feel like it's a balance, because sometimes I feel like I overwrite. Like I'll get on a beat and I'll like choke the hell out of it. Like I write too much, you know, because I'm still in that poetry mindset. So, but on the flip side, I'm able to tell a story. I'm able to have wordplay. I'm able to be lyrical, you know, in a way that I think poetry has trained me for. So it's a balance. Right now, I'm actually really trying to learn how to calm down when I hear a beat and just like allow myself to vibe, because I immediately think about writing so much. Like I'm a pen to page writer, so I'm writing so much that I kind of suck out the emotion. So I'm trying to take a step back on like overwriting my songs. But poetry has definitely allowed me to be very like insightful and be very observant with what's around me, to then be able to make music that's like, you know, impactful, that people can relate to.
Interesting. So you talked about, you know, writing pen and pad type situation. Is there, because I'm a writer too, but I'm a different type of writer. I don't do music. I just know how to put some words together. And I know for me, a lot of the times, like if I'm thinking about what I want to write about, I become a perfectionist and I don't really get like you said, like that raw emotion. Is there ever any points in time where you're like, I can't even think about it. I just need to put it like, and then even with that, going back and reading it, how much of it do you use?
I love that question. You know, I actually got advice recently to create mindlessly. Because otherwise that's exactly what happens. Like you have this vision and you write with an editor's eye. And when I write with an editor's eye, I'm not actually being creative. You know, I'm shutting down my thoughts before I'm able to even get them on a page. So I do a lot of brain dumping, and sometimes like when I really have writer's block, I'll put on a beat that maybe I don't even intend to really make a song to, and just like write some random shit. Like it might be trash to me, but I'm like, I'm gonna take this 4 bars somewhere. Like there's gonna be something out of this. And now I'm rapping about cereal and shit, you know, like random shit. But, you know, that's kind of the content you pull on. So I definitely do have like a balance. And that's kind of my exercise when I'm too stuck on finishing a song. Like right now I'm stuck on a couple songs. And so I've had to just take a step back and like brain dump and just write whatever the hell comes to mind. Like not worried if it's good or not, you know?
Now, a lot of times artists, you know, obviously this is a lot of us who are creatives, what we do is therapy for us. How much of that has intertwined in your work, but also how much of it do you like? Because I know a lot of the times, even for me, sometimes I'm like, ooh, this is a little too transparent.
Okay, right.
Like, where do I draw that line? How do you draw that line for yourself?
Yeah, it's so funny because just the other day I posted on TikTok like, damn, I hate when I write a sad song that's good as fuck because I'm like, I don't want to drop it. Then people are like, damn, are you good? Yeah, like, are you all right, bro? You know, so it is interesting. I think in poetry, you know, in slam poetry specifically, like thinking about competition, a lot of times we were kind of tasked with putting our trauma into art. And from a young age, I think I created a sort of disconnection, like almost an alter ego, alter character of like this girl who was going through these things and then me, myself, who was delivering these stories. And I think that like when I got into music, I've been able to take a step back from that because one, I don't think every song every piece of art has to like download all your traumas. Like we deserve joy. Right. You know what I'm saying? But also be able to step into that in a way that's like, you know, I think the way that I connect to people is being vulnerable. Like, yeah, people don't want to hear a song about you being down bad and not having the money, but whole time a lot of people don't got that, you know? So we over here rapping about like, rah, rah, I got this and that. But like, that's not reality for a lot of folks. So I think I take music and art like as a responsibility to, you know, be authentic to people and so I just try to do that. I mean, like, sometimes it feels like too much, but, like, fuck it, it's too much then. It's okay.
Ever have those moments where, like, because you mentioned, like, the whole alter ego thing. Like, okay, so for instance, I'm going to give you an example. For me, I'm writing a book right now.
Oh, come on, author.
Wait, but the book is deep. Like, it has a lot of deep, like, it's a lot of emotions in the book. It's not my story, but I have to tap into that character, the character that I'm writing, and, you know, really, like, dive deep into that. With your alter ego, you could be fine, but your alter ego might be going through it, baby. Okay. Do you ever come out of those writing sessions and be like, damn, now I'm depressed?
Yo, you know what? Not really, because so my setup for recording is very intimate. Like I record at home, I mix and master at home, so I'm in my room, I got my lights on, I'm smoking. You know, it's a very intimate space. So like I'm up in front of the mirror, I'm dancing, like I'm, you know, I'm in my undies, like, you know, I'm vibing, you know, in a very vulnerable way to me. And I think that with that, like, it is a healing space, you know. And I usually come out lighter. If I'm able to actually get that out in my writing, I feel way lighter after. Because to take your pain and make something raw of it, like, I want whatever it is, whatever the battle is, I want, like, you know. So, yeah, to me, it makes me feel better.
Okay. So. How did you determine, because like, you know, when people go into this space of becoming the artist that they are, they may go through different phases of like, we've seen it with J. Cole. J. Cole was like, you know, super, I wouldn't say poetic, but he had like a little flair to him, and then he kind of flipped it a little bit and started talking more, like he was already talking about life shit, but I feel like there was still a flashiness to him, and his I can recall like Born Sinner was that like fork in the road for him. Like, was he gonna go this way, the way he's now, or was he gonna go this way and be like more like of a, I wouldn't say like a Drake type. Like there was that like fork in the road. For you, I don't know if you've ever had that, or you know, or even as you're developing as an artist, how did you come up with, or your style, or like saying, okay, this is the direction I'm gonna go with mine? Because you could have took it different ways. Like there's different types of rappers out here.
Facts.
What made you go the route that you're in now?
Man.
And do you plan on staying there?
You know, I love looking at discographies like that of artists and being like, man, like, you know, they've evolved through these sounds. Because I think like the truth about it is, you know, I consider myself an artist in real life. So art is the way I process the world, and I'm a person that goes through a lot of things like anybody else. So my music is gonna sound different time to time. I am gonna have a song that's very introspective and reflective and you know, very woke to the world and tapped in. And there's gonna be songs where I'm the bad bitch and I don't give a fuck and I'm going out with my girls and we drinking and we smoking. And you know, I think like I do have songs that play into both worlds, and I've stressed under the idea that I've had to pick a side. And I think a lot of times like it's something the industry and like short attention spans online have made artists feel like they have to choose, like, oh, I gotta pick this genre because we want to be digestible. But like I'm okay with not being digestible and being different. And as far as like picking this route versus other routes, like I would simply be so corny if I tried to do anything that was not to me. Like if I tried to be a rapper that was like, you know, hard as fuck and, you know, just on the drill beats, like that's just not that's not my style. You know, I can't fake it, so I have to be real with myself at the expense of perhaps people having to get used to me. You know, a lot of people I think have their ears attuned to like, you know, mainstream music or what's the wave of the city, and so it is a bit of a uphill battle that I face with like, nah, I'm gonna rap like this, like you know, this is how I rap. So it is what it is.
Do you feel like if you was based in another city that it would be easier for you depending on the city that you were in?
That's an interesting question. You know, I was in another city, so I was in the Bay Area for college. Okay. And I was, you know, that's really where I got into the music. And I spent time in Oakland, spent time in San Francisco, and I would say I think a lot of people there maybe are more open to different styles. But I don't know. I think like I need one to do the other. Like I need my city to support what I'm doing so that I could be in other cities doing what I want to do, you know? But I don't know. That's a hard question. I've thought that. Like people always say like, oh, you got to leave Chicago to like get on and shit like that. But I view myself as like Chicago's home nest, and I'm going to fly wherever. You know what I mean? I'm going to move around, so they're going to get to know me regardless. They going to know who I am.
No, I feel that way too. Like, you know, for me, I'm like, I like Chicago, but you know, there's always that, like, you know, where people feel like us and our talent should be here. Right. And if we're here, we can build this up. Because I was actually looking at even like the 50 years of hip hop, all of the tributes that they've been doing throughout the year in Chicago is never mentioned in any of this. Right. Even though we have produced the biggest, like, I don't know if you want to call drill a subgenre or, you know, hip hop or the influence that we have. We're taking this overseas, people want to make music like that, and house music. And house music too. And we're not being mentioned in these conversations. So, you know, I've had conversations with my peers about, you know, building Chicago and how maybe a lot of us, we leave, but we gotta build. I think we lack respect because we leave. Like, if you look at big cities like New York, you look at even Cali, like their artists, they don't leave. Yeah, they rep their shit hard. They rep it hard, and they do not leave. And so, what is your take on that? Like with just like us not getting the respect that we rightfully, I feel like we deserve. It's interesting. It's hard to demand respect. I feel like, especially in the music industry, I feel like, you know, on an individualistic level, is that how I'm supposed to say it? On a personal level, you know, I think demanding respect, like you almost waste time. Like if I'm the shit, why am I trying to prove to you that I'm the shit? You know what I'm saying? Like we know we the shit from Chicago. Right. We are naturally born influencers. We influence waves of music throughout history. And I think that like, that for me is enough to like, keep it pushing. Like I don't need someone else to be like agree with me that Chicago's the shit. Like we know that, you know. And I think that like the thing with people leaving Chicago that I think is interesting is like I feel like every artist or not only artists but so many people have this like I'm about to save my city mentality here. Like a lot of us have it. We want to put on for our city. We want to like have people come together and celebrate and, you know, be recognized for what we're doing. But I think that like with it comes this like
again, another individualistic mentality where it's like, I gotta have everyone on my back. But like, really, we could go together.
Right.
You know, so I think that's something that I'm trying to practice more with people I'm in community with is, you know, showing up for each other, rooting somebody else on just as hard as I be rooting myself on. Like, it's such a detriment to us to feel like it's only room for one of us or some of us.
Right.
Like, there's room for all of us.
All of us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We got to put on for each other. So
I saw you recently actually dropped I don't know if it was a song, like a video mini song, I'm not really too sure, but with Cece.
Yeah.
How was that? Did y'all get in the studio and work on that together?
We did.
How was that energy? Because y'all seem different, but then also there's that like little Latina flair there too. You know, how was that?
I love CC. We do have different styles, and I think we complement each other well. We've had like a few times where we've connected in the past, just like knowing that we're both rappers in Chicago, Puerto Ricans in Chicago, you know, putting on for rap and putting on for lyricism. And so I don't really dabble into much of the music that Cece's her main genre, like more of the harder shit. But I so happen to have this song that I'm like, damn, like she would go crazy on this. So I sent it to her. She was down with the shit. So she literally pulled up to the studio, and it was the first time I had heard her verse, and it was clean. We recorded that shit, smoked some, and that was it. And then we just shot a little ass music video to it in the theme of Grand Theft Auto with Sharpest Sniper, and it was a vibe.
I love that. I love that. I love that for several reasons, because, you know, we're seeing now the transition, specifically with female rappers working together now, and just seeing that camaraderie between, you know, women, because we're such in a dominated, like whether it's media or, you know, music, it's a male dominated field.
Right.
So to see that sisterhood there is beautiful. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more. I want to go back to like your style, because I want to know what influenced it. Like, what music influenced it for you? And who influenced you? Like, I want to hear that.
Current influences, if I had to work backwards, I'm a big fan of Jayy.
Okay.
I love Saba, John Doe. Saba and John Doe are both from Chicago too, so that's lit. Doja Cat, her new album just went off. Scarlet, she's literally changing the game for a woman in rap. Going backwards a little bit, I've always looked up to Biggie, Missy Elliott. My dad DJs like as a hobby, so I just grew up listening to a lot of old school records, like just a lot of old school house, old school bachata, salsa, merengue, and like weirdly, I think it all plays its part in a way that's like just being bold to be different. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think a lot of the times I've even had the mistake of like, oh yeah, like this is what's cool, this is what's hot, like I gotta make a song like this, it's gonna be lit, and like you lose yourself in that process, you know? So I think all the people that I've looked up to have changed sound by being themselves and waiting for other people to catch on. Like a lot of the reason even I think Doja is debatable. It's like, first of all, you want debatable art. I think it's good to have art that's debatable.
There was like a point in time where they were like, is she even a rapper? We're not
like,
considering
what's
her
going
a
on,
rapper.
right? And I think that's lit, because she's not just a rapper, right? Like, she's a singer, she's an artist, and all these things. And I think like her art became like something for people to debate, but it's like, you want to make things that are so authentic that motherfuckers want to talk about.
Right.
So authentic that it makes people question their beliefs, that are making them question their friends who listening to this music. Like, it's making them question the entire world, you know? So I look up to artists that just like break the mold, honestly. Yeah.
What are, so you mentioned like, you know, with your Puerto Rican roots in there, how has that influenced you as an artist? And how important is it for you to, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, put that in your work. Because I think like, you know, having pride from where you come from, like we've seen it with Bad Boy. I don't know what the hell happened after that.
Okay.
But, you know, how important is it for you to have that and implement that into your sound?
It's very important. You know, I think I wish I spoke Spanish fluently to really put on.
I could hear a song all day and be like, I get it, but you know it's not translating outside.
Right.
Here.
I'm in the club like, yeah, this shit lit. Yo soy boricua, but baby, don't ask me nothing more. Yeah, no, it's rough. I've like really wanted to be on my little Selena moment and get into music making Spanish, even though I don't know Spanish much, you know. So I have my little moments of bringing that Puerto Rican culture in my music. music. It's fun for me. I think like the root of the identity of being Puerto Rican comes down to pride and comes down to resilience a lot, you know. So the pride does come through when it's like, like we lit, and it's when I'm speaking Spanish in my songs and I have a crowd of people that don't even know what I'm saying. I barely know what the fuck I'm saying, but we're all like, woo, like that's a moment, you know. It's love in the room, so I enjoy that. And then the resilience, and I think just comes through in all my music, whether or not it touches back to Puerto Rican culture. Like in all my music, you're gonna hear me pushing against the grind, pushing against the hard times, pushing against the system, like those things come through. So
what do you have to say? Because I know, like, I've seen it within my own family, I've seen it within friends, of this idea that if you're not born on the island or if you're not born in the country, you're not really that. Like, because we hear it, I know I've heard it, you know, or just the whole, like, you're not Latina enough because you don't speak Spanish. Yeah. You know, it's something that I feel like as a Latina who is trying, I feel uncomfortable sometimes to push, like, I'm Latina, like, you know, because there's that, like, you don't even speak Spanish like that. Man. And it's deep, man. That's a deep question. Yeah. I could write a whole paper on that. Like, it really does come down to, you know, I think a lot of us, all of us have internalized colonizers and colonial thoughts within us. Wait, because that is that too. That's the colonizer's language. Because I heard
but
that
it's like,
too.
but you didn't want to teach me Spanish though. You didn't want to teach me. You didn't want me to have a Spanish accent because you wanted me to, you know, excel in whatever which ways that were like you becoming assimilated into this colonial culture. I think it's really interesting.
I just be saying, being Hispanic it's complicated.
It's complicated. It's very complicated.
It's very complicated.
None of it makes sense.
No,
it doesn't.
No, you got the woke ones that is like Spanish is the colonizer's language. You should not be speaking it anyways. But then it's like, okay, so what?
So what am I supposed to speak in there? Like, nah, I mean, like, you know, I think everything is a story, right? And, like, we can't change what the past was. And for myself, as someone who maybe could rap Spanglish in my songs, like, that in itself speaks to the story of lineage and the loss of the Spanish tongue and how I picked up, you know, Chicago lingo just growing up in Chicago more than I picked up Spanish, you know? Like, those are things that speak to the history. So it just is what it is, you know? It don't mean, for me, I love anyone who love me. I don't care what culture you come from. So if you fuck with me, I fuck with you, you know. If you don't fuck with me, and we both Puerto Rican, I just think it's weird. But, like, I don't know. I haven't experienced that.
I've experienced.
Really?
Yes, girl.
Wow.
Like, I've experienced that. It's a strange, like, it's a strange dynamic.
Like, what's your beef?
The diaspora wars of, like, it's weird.
It is.
So let's talk about this program that you did at Harvard.
Yes.
Like, first of all, it's Harvard, so it's like, you know, to be able to walk through those doors, and then, you know, even as a woman of color, like that's not a thing for us, you know. And then to be from Chicago, and what was that experience like for you?
Sheesh. That it was a life-changing experience. It was the most beautiful experience. So for those who don't know, this program is called No Label Academy. It's a 10-day music business program at Harvard, and it's led by a rapper named IDK. And I seen this program when I was a senior at Stanford, and I was like, damn, this is so cool, because I'm over here taking all these, you know, classes that I was honestly taking classes in urban studies about Chicago. I've always been passionate about the city, but music for me is really where I'm at, where what makes me live. So I would always try to put a curriculum together at myself at Stanford, take a little 1-unit class here and there, but like when I was a senior, I seen No Label Academy, and it was just this magical place in my head, this rap academy, you know? Fast forward some time, I applied and I got accepted. And I got accepted, the day I found out was the day after I got my appendix removed this summer. Oh my gosh. So I was going through it. and I was down bad, and I got accepted, and I like couldn't even scream because I was in pain, but I was like, it was absolutely amazing. So we spent the first couple of days just kind of breaking the ice. We had a couple panels, and immediately the guest speakers were like, top of the charts. I mean, first day we're talking to Joyner Lucas, we're talking to Foggy Raw, we're talking to Zay Productions from Chicago. So, you know, all of these things were setting us the tone for the week ahead. Now, first day of classes, every day was super rigorous. We had workouts at 6 a.m.
Ooh,
Workouts at 6 a.m. with a celebrity trainer, and he was working us down. Breakfast at 8, class at 9 to like 5, 6, dinner, studio time till 12. Some of us would go to another studio, stay there till 2, 3, and you're back at workouts the next day at 6 a.m. It was a rigorous week, but every day they were bringing in like artists that I've dreamed of collaborating with, that just to be in the room with. Like first day they brought in Roddy Ricch, they brought in Joey Badass, they brought in Benny the Butcher. Bia was there at our graduation. Oh my God, it was like a freak out moment for me because she was supposed to be the special guest at our after party.
Okay.
Comes into our graduation and sits at my table. Like randomly at the table I'm sitting at. So I'm like, yeah, no, literally. I'm like, hey, what's up? So it was dope to be able to talk to her. Everyone that was there had such a humble energy and such an encouraging energy of like, yo, you can make it. We've been in your shoes. Keep your head down and work, and don't let nobody tell you you not the shit, because you are. Like, you bringing something to the table that nobody could bring. So for me, it shifted my whole perspective, I think, of how I approach music. And to be around the other students too, like besides the guest speakers, besides the people in the room, the other students, 22 other students picked to be in that program were stars. Like they were so talented in their own way, and like I feel like it completely shifted how I write, how I make songs. I had the most fun. And we were spoiled as hell. We were sponsored by Converse, Nike, Jordan, Dior. We got like full-on uniforms, custom of all those things. We got, our lifts covered the whole time, food covered, hotel, flights. I mean, they put on for us in every way. They gifted us a laptop. I've been struggling to get myself a new laptop for a minute now, so that was a big moment for me. It completely, changed my life. I think that, like, the program is specifically meant for Black people, people of color, artists on the rise to go and bridge the gap between, like, this starving artist to this industry sustainable life that we, want to live. So just to learn everything, I was like a sponge. I was just like a sponge, man, every conversation.
I think you may not have a defining moment, but I feel like I always like to ask this, like, what was one of the things that you learned that stood out the most to you?
It may sound like kind of obvious, but to see it in practice is different. Like, just being authentic as you can be. Like, anytime you catch yourself seeking outside of yourself or working outside of yourself, working in a way that doesn't get you excited, you got a photo shoot you just did or a song you just made, it doesn't make you excited, doesn't make you feel like you did your shit, then it's not it, And I think, like, having that inner standard and having that ability to be authentic and be weird sometimes too, like deadass, like being weird will get you a long way, a lot further than being like everybody else. And I think there's so many artists working so hard right now, so we get online and we scroll and we see everybody doing it, and we like, damn, what are they doing? How did they get like that? And it's like, nah, like, what could you be doing? Like, what is your sound that you felt like was different, and lean into that, So I would say that's one, and the second one would be this, like, undeniable belief that the people who spoke to us had of themselves, that was like, I'm the shit. You can't tell me nothing, and if you do try to tell me something, like, you shouldn't be in my space. Like, because you really got to feel that way about yourself.
You got to believe in it.
You got to believe in it. Like, we got to talk to Dame Dash, we got to talk to hip hop, we got to talk to Wendy Day. These are people who've been behind, like, the biggest artists getting signed, Jayy, Kanye West, the record labels for No Limit, Young Money, like, and they were people who were just applying themselves, showing up as their true selves and showing up in the spaces they wanted to be in, Like, for me personally, like, I work in my room a lot, right? I realized, like, bro, how you gonna meet people? Like, how are you gonna connect with people? How are you gonna collaborate? Like, you have to be out and showing up in the spaces you want to be at. And also just another one that seems obvious, but the discipline. Like, I've always said, to be an artist and make it your career is as rigorous as being an athlete, to go into the NBA, to go into the NFL, and you gotta train the same way. I'll be damned if I spend a day where I don't write, or if I spend a day where I'm not recording. I spend the day where I'm not showing up how I should in the gym, or you know, we fall off track and shit, but like showing up for yourself. You gotta go then be on that shit, like you chasing it, like for real, you know? So that's something to me that they just lit a fire under my ass. I really just felt like lit up from the inside out to push forward and push forward real hard, like no stops, no breaks.
You mentioned, you know, showing up as your authentic self and just, yeah, who are you? If somebody asked you, like, and is the artist you and you as a person the same? Because, you know, some people feel like, oh, that's different.
Yeah.
Who are you? Jasmine, that's how
okay, like, okay, right. I got different sides to me, baby. I got different sides to me. You know, what's interesting is I've asked my friends that if, like, man, like the way I am online and the way I am like in my music, like, do you feel like that's authentic to how y'all know me? And they're like, yeah, like pretty much. I just feel like people don't know how weird you are. Like they don't know how silly you are, you know? And I'm like, that's true. Like I struggle just kind of showing that. And I'm like trying to, again, get more comfortable being weird, like not in a pushy way, but even in my music, being experimental. Like when I say weird, I mean more experimental. Yeah. Like just being able to be silly with the shit, you know, because sometimes I am a perfectionist and like that's lent me to a lot of success, you know, but it's also restricted me in the sense of like, I realized when I graduated school and even leaving this program is like, oh, I'm really good at doing what I'm told to do. Like I could exceed like a motherfucker when you're like, yeah, you got to work out 6 a.m., you got to do this and that. Like it's different to get good at doing what you want to do. Like, cause you could think about what you want to do, you could visualize it, you could write it on a notepad, but to get good at doing what you want to do is a certain skill and discipline. Cause sometimes I do got to do it on days I don't want to. But yeah, I would say who I am. Like I'm a very loving, silly, goofy, I don't know. I'm a very like in touch person. I'm very present in the world within myself and the people I love. Maybe sometimes take things too seriously, but like with the people I really love and I'm close to, like they see that side of me. It's like,
okay. Days that you don't want to get up and you don't want to, you know, because I have days like that where I'm like, I don't want to do this shit. Like, yeah, you know. On those days, what pushes you?
You know, it's so funny. I actually asked an artist that at a No Label Academy, and he straight up told me, he's like, being broke. being broke pushed me a long way. And I'm like, true. Yeah, true. But no, so that's one thing, like realizing I'm not in the place I want to be in, like dead ass. Because like on the inside, I know who I am. I know what I could achieve. So me not being at that level, like I've really tried to cut the slack, you know? But I would say like 100% looks different on every day, right? Like some days my 100% may mean like I get up, I tidy up my room and like I do a little stretch and that's my 100%. And other days it may mean I'm in the gym, knees to chest, acting like I'm training for the Super Bowl or some shit. You know what I mean? Like it looks different every day. So I just try to show up and analyze what does 100% mean to me on a particular day. And not be so hard. Like the world is hard enough. Give yourself grace.
Right.
I think also like being an artist, you have to realize like it comes with the fluidity of life. Like you have to be able to have your low moments and your good moments. Like you have to live dead ass through the yin and the yang, the light and the darkness, to actually be authentic in your music, I feel like. So I just take it as it comes. Like I be sad and shit, and then I'm like, damn, I'm sad, but it's gonna make a good song when I'm past this shit, man, you know? So I just let it come and go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are we expecting new music soon? What we got cooking?
Absolutely, bro. I've been cooking. I feel like I went to that program and every song I made before the program, I trashed. I didn't like it. I completely changed my approach to music. So right now I've been cooking up a lot. Like I've been in a mode. I'm writing every day. I'm recording every day. I'm somebody who works on multiple songs at once. So like I have like a batch of songs right now that need to be finished. So soon, very soon. And when it does happen, it's up like in a whole different way. So I'm excited for that.
How do you know when a song is complete or when you are ready to put it out?
When I have it on repeat and I ain't got nothing to fix, like since I mix and master my music, I could be very picky with how it sounds. You know, I'm like on different speakers, like, oh no, this got to be lowered. Something could happen here. There's a space here, and when I'm listening to it on repeat, and there's like nothing that makes me want to stop it, then I'm good. Or if I'm listening to it and I start doing other things, because like for me, sometimes when you think about it, you listen to music as like the background to your life. So when I'm able to listen to my unreleased songs and it just becomes the background of like some shit I'm doing, I'm like, oh wait, that must have been good, because like I'm just flowing with this shit. So I know it's done when it just sounds like it could be on any other playlist. Yeah.
Okay. I love that you are musically inclined, because I think I really appreciate when artists are actual artists.
I love that.
They, you know, they can play an instrument or they can mix their own stuff. Like I used to live with a musician, so like I enjoy that process of just watching y'all be in y'all zone, because y'all don't be paying attention to nothing around y'all but that. Well, before we get up out of here, I have one last question for you.
Yes.
This is a question I love to ask anyone at the end of an interview. When it's all said and done, what do you want to be remembered for?
What do I want to be remembered for? I don't think I'm the one who gets to say that.
Ooh, okay. This is the first time I've ever heard that.
Yeah, I think, you know, each person will get to say what they remember me for. And I think that's the thing about art is, like, I don't get to decide. I don't get to decide how it's interpreted. It may have meant something to me, but once I put it out in the world, it's out of my hands, you know, and hopefully it just does what it needs to do for whoever's listening. And I hope that they remember that.
Wow. Well, y'all heard it here first. We, you know, locked in now. I love y'all. Wish you so much.
I love you. Thank you.
So many blessings. I can't wait to see where your career goes after.
Thank
this,
you.
I just feel like you a star, baby girl.
Oh, thank you, girl. And I'm going to be reading your book.
Okay.